Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Thank you for asking me. I was a very sickly child, and this was a great delight to me because I could be kept home from school and I'd be with my mother. And my mother was my best pal. We chatted, talked, laughed, had great fun all together. And but not only was I with my mother, I was my mother. I did all her jobs that she did. I helped her out. She'd be in one room, changing the sheets, making the beds. I'd be in the other room, and she'd say, "Donald, son, can you cut the potatoes for chips for me?" And I'd say, "Yeah, love." And then we'd sing Ray Charles back and forward to her. When 12 o'clock came, and it was nearing dinner time, she'd always say the same mantra: "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus, 12 o'clock and not a child in the house washed." So this is a poem about writing poems, and it incorporates my mother's Jesus, Jesus chant. It's called A Poet's Work. Oh my God, is that the time? 12 o'clock and not a poem in the house written. Quick, wash those adjectives. Quick, bathe those verbs. Feed those nouns. Have you adverbs gone back to bed? Come on, smile like a simile. No, don't wear the same metaphors you wore yesterday. And so with a little playful smack on its BTM, the poem is sent off into the world. See ya, be good. A poet's work is never done. And then it goes straight into my mother's mind. This is called me Mam's Mind. It's a memory of my mother Rita. If you fall off of that wall and break both your legs, don't come running to me. Could never understand me Mam's mind and how it worked. One moment she had half a mind to come up there and get me off that wall. Then she was in two minds about whether to tell me to stop. Go ahead, and kill yourself. See if I care. I'm warning you, child. If you fall off that wall and kill yourself, I'll personally come up there and kill you myself, so I will. I used to watch the words climbing out of her mouth and fly around the room, looking for a place to land in my mind. I never cared whether she gave out. I just loved everything she said, the music of her and how she made the words behave. I came down and kissed her worry away. I'm sorry, ma'am, I told her, and she cried. We get back to the poems. I know you're not supposed to write poems about making poems. People say, what do you do when you have writer's block? And I say, I write about it. So this is called Ceci n'est pas un poème. It's always the same. The adverbs blame the adjectives the nouns, and the nouns the verbs for the imminent collapse of this poem. The images the claim we're not to blame. The rhyme just buggers off. The figurative language can't be bothered to get up off their arm. A senile simile smiles wistfully in a to be or not to be voice. The metaphors have gone on strike. Oh, for God's sake, doesn't anybody know where this is doing? I ask, using the demotic. There is a sudden silence. All that is to be heard outside, a weeping willow weeps for me. How pathetic can one poem get? No, don't answer that. It was a rhetorical question. The words all look to me to pass sentence. I tell them, that's it. There is a collective moan. I'm calling this poem off. Thank you. This is a new poem. It's called Beaten Flanagan. I was doing a spring lockdown cleaning. And Jan will laugh at this because I just make more mess than anything. But I found this old picture of me, the only picture of me in the army, and I've won the 800 metres and I'm getting my plaque. That is a laugh because I am not a runner. My grandfather Sheedy was a fabulous runner and very famous in his time. All I have inherited is his calf muscles and nothing else. So this is called Beating Flanagan. I'm no runner me, weak-kneed and knobbly, but God almighty, here I be, on the starting line between two tough guys, Flanagan and Reid. No, I don't stand a chance, only here because I have to be. An army 800 metres, and me a raw recruit and poet to be. A gun barks and we're off, and already I'm Paddy last. Dick Reid, pride of our platoon, and a smile that would win a prize. Flanagan is bitter rival, always there to bio up me up, raise my spirits. Sing me Peggy Gordon, Dick. And he beams and beams and sings his heart out. But now Reed and Flanagan are two tiny dots in the distance, neck and neck, both in the lead. But as we come around the final bend, they trip over each other. I am now third and race towards the tangle of arms and legs. I hurdle the cursing pair and hurtle towards and break the tape with a gasp. I win a long lost plaque, and a photo survives the ravages of the ages. I laugh to hold it now, I, the infamous non-runner, the winner. Dick almost dances with glee, hugs me. Good man, Dempsey, you bet Flanagan for me. You deserve a medal. Sing me Peggy Gordon, that'll be my medal. And he beams and beams and sings, his gorgeous voice pinned to the summer of an Irish sky. And I still listen as his voice echoes through the years. Oh, Peggy Gordon, you are my darling. Come sit you down upon my knee and tell to me the very reason why I am slighted so by thee. And as we went around and did our army stuff, we'd have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, run 6 miles, come back over the assault course, over the 30-foot wall, through the barbed wire, through the mud, and then we'd have breakfast then. And there'd be custard and peas in it. And as we went along, Dick would always cheer me up by singing Peggy Gordon for me. This is called Preserve. Tongues stained with blackberries, we collect kisses, falling into ditches, being stung by nettles. Your dress snags on a briar, and you cry out in mock horror. I cut through the tangle of thorns as if I were your prince. Charming me, you undo your buttons, and you step out of your dress as if you were stepping out of yourself. Your dress hangs like a chrysalis. You let down your golden hair, and we make love then and there. A tractor and some cows go by. We laugh and try to hide. The sun beats down on my bum. We giggle and come, return to the big old dirty town, and turn our blackberry picking days into luscious winter jam. I went to see a Hamlet. They were doing the whole of Hamlet. It was about, 4 hours or something. God, such a pain. And I was sitting beside somebody who was doing a commentary on every minute of it. And the other side of me was a critic taking notes about the play. So I wrote this poem for both of them. It's called Hamlet Tries to Get His Act Together. Hamlet is about to kill his uncle when suddenly a commentator tells him what he is doing, only for a critic to violently disagree with his theory. Excuse me, Hamlet tries to interject politely, but the debate over what's what is becoming overheated. Excuse me, but Hamlet almost close to tears. I'm trying to kill my uncle here. But they pay him no heed in the least. Hamlet and Claudius pause and noisily share a bag of popcorn, watch with avid glee as commentator kills critic, just as critic kills commentator. The rest, as they say, is silence. This is called Feline Friends. Curled up on the couch with a curled up kitten cradled in your lap, both of you totally out of this world. I smile at such a lovely double take, tiptoe round the flat, afraid that you should wake. I kiss both your noses, and you both sniff and shift, adopt new synchronized poses. I can only love and sit and watch as one of you makes a move that the other will match. I take a Polaroid as I am leaving, place it between your toes where, on awakening, it will be seen to show you how very beautiful you've been. In keeping with the Shakespearean theme, this is called My Love is as a Fever, Longing Still. All that long hot summer through, I shared a common cold with you that seemed to last forever. Whether sharing the same germs, dreams, bacteria or whatever, it seemed to bind us so very close together. If this was love, it couldn't get no better. And all my heart could say, even to this day, is bless you, bless you, bless you. There is a famous Irish song called Carrickdoon, and it has my name in it. When Donall swore, Ior, he'd part no more. A storm a cree. It has the Onabwee River in it. And the Onabwee River is the river at the bottom of my uncle's farm. So I was always amazed that this river existed in song and in reality at the same time. And I existed in song and in reality at the same time. Go figure. My God. So I always wanted to see this river again, and somebody else owns it now, so I can't get to see it. So I thought I'd bring the river to me instead. It's called Welcome, Welcome. There was a knock on the door. I opened it. The river stood there dripping all over the welcome mat. It had dragged along birds, trees, bits of sky, an old worn summer. Hi, it rippled. Remember me? Sure, I said. You said you would never forget me. How could I said. It grinned like that summer all over again. Come in, I said. It hung up the trees and sky on the hat rack. It sat in the bath talking of this and that. Wow, I thought, still listening to the river talk of all the times we spent together. Memory sure does play some funny tricks on the mind. Well, it said, I guess I better be going. It put back on the trees and birds, wore the sky at a jaunty angle. You haven't changed a bit, I said, kissing it goodbye. You've got very old, it smiled, so very, very old. I laughed. I'm not that little boy I was. It wished me well. The door closed, its footsteps lost in time. I was missing it already. Thank you. Let's see where I am now. Let's see where I am. It was Keats's 200, and I didn't want to write about Johnny Keats again. You know that Robbie Burns was going to emigrate to Jamaica at one stage, and he obviously didn't. And it would have been curious to see the hybrid of what Scots Jamaican would have been like. Keats's brother emigrated to America. And so I imagined somebody talking about Keats and not knowing much about him. So it's called Married to Green and All the Sweetest Flowers. Keats, sure, I remember the fella. Immigrated from that there England, buried up there on Cave Hill Cemetery. Louisville was mighty proud of him. Always said he never expected to be living on the banks of the Ohio. Went from rags to riches and back again. Did some business with that Audubon guy, you know, the bird guy, but it sank quicker than a stone. Became then a big knob in the sawmill. Took to it faster than a squirrel. But then lost it all in the panic of 1837. Very brainy guy, more books than you could shake a brain at. We call his house the Englishman's Palace. Baldy guy. One of his daughters met Oscar Wilde one time. There was another of them English fellas. Another daughter was rumoured committed suicide. Always went on about his elder brother John. You know, the poet guy would recite by heart, Blue, 'tis the life of heaven, always made me cry. But that's all I can remember now. This is called A Door Ajar on Reality. The blackbird led his wife up the garden path, as if the crazy paving had been laid especially for them and their kind. I thought it odd that they walked instead of flew, as if they were acting the human. They both deep in conversation about bird current affairs or gossip about those noisy robins. When they hit the deck, they both stood in a deck chair each, continuing what they had been conversing about. Maybe blackbirds had taken over the world and I the last human to know. Or all humans had been changed into blackbirds. They suddenly made a loud caw. I took to the air and flew. And a poem for my wife. I've kissed my wife all over, from the tips of her toes to her tiny little nose, in many various places. So this is about that. It's called Of All the Kisses in All the Worlds, and she has to walk into mine. I kissed you in Islip and Liss. Then once again in Satling, Shipton and Pershore. Wherever I kissed you, I only ever wanted to kiss you more. I kissed you in Amberley and Arundel. Once I kissed you in Swale and Sway. I kissed you all over in many various places that I cannot remember today. I only remember the kisses scattered all over England, refusing to fade away. A poem about me. This is called Dónsll Dempsey, Indeed. When I was a school teacher, I used to take the roll, and one day I got all the kids to write out their names backwards. And then they adopted these backwards names and refused to be called anything else but their backward name. And we then made up stories about these people. And I am Leonard Yesmid. So I did what I told the kids, because I wouldn't let them do anything that I didn't. So this is called Dónsll Dempsey indeed. Ha! Leonard Yesmid. He squinted at my driver's license. It's pronounced Clannad, I said with extreme exasperation. You're not from these here parts, are you, fella? He drawled dryly, squinting closely first at me, then back at my ID. I'm of Welsh, Turkish extraction, but I was born on Venus, I explained as if to a little kid. Ha ha ha! He snorted, a tiny trickle of snot yo-yoing up and down his hairy left nostril. Ha ha! If you were to spell your name backwards, it would spell Donald Dempsey. I was not amused. You know, that crazy hairy Irish Earthling poet dude? I'm not him, I fumed. All right, keep your antennas on. Jeez. He handed me back my ID, tipped his hat, wiped his nose across his sleeve again. Welcome to Mars. You drive carefully now. Bloody customs. I yelled to myself. Ha! Donald Dempsey indeed. I stepped on the rocket boosters, left them eating my stardust. This is about a woman who lived under the lovely illusion that the home she was living in, that she had a big French window, and she was under the illusion that it was a large TV screen. And it was a great way to live your life. She looked at the programme all day. It's called Watching the Window. She smiles at one and all, but mostly to herself. I love to watch the large TV set, she announces to no one. She points to the window. It only shows bird programmes. Outside, the birds flock around the feeder. The new nurse smiles, has to stifle her laughter. But sometimes strange humans come and knock and scare my birds away. New nurse turns the sheets down. Oh, I complain, but it doesn't do no good. Oh dear, Miss New Nurse explains yet again. That's your family, see? Waving at you and holding up signs. The clock ticks a very audible talk. Look, see? I love you, Gran. Oh, and isn't that nice from the little one? She lets her tea go cold, takes off her glasses. I've never seen them before. And why the masks? Now, Natalie, I've told you about COVID before. She whimpers. Oh, nurse, make them go away, please. It brings on my asthma. And put back on the bird channel. All right, one more. Death ain't got no sense of humour. We were coming back from a book fair in Belfast and we're about 20 miles away from home when I met my own death. And it's a wonder that I'm still alive. But there you go. It's called Death Ain't Got No Sense of Humour. Stopped at a red light when who should pull up beside us but Death, driving a fancy invisible car. He is dressed in the usual trope, cowl and side. How cliched can one get? He just sits there in midair, tapping a bony finger on a wheel I can't see. His side sits in the passenger seat, looking like a tame pterodactyl, smiling with neon and moonlight. He nods to me. I nod to him. Hope you haven't come for me, I grin. He shakes his skull back and forth. Just practicing. What's the matter? You ain't got no sense of humour? He points a long bony finger at the green car jumping the lights. Holy moly, I holy moly to myself. If that car don't stop, it's going to crash into us. And into us it does. But before it does, time goes AWOL. The moment stretches into infinity and the next second lasts forever. I nonchalantly watch the green car hurtling towards me for an eternity and just wish, oh, it would just get it over and done with. Even the rain falling stops in midair. A bird's flight freeze frames above the still trees, despite the bluster of the wind. Then, as if someone had pressed a button, infinity snaps back into the moment's reality. The green car bites with a roar into my side door. I watch it buckle and stop a centimetre from my thigh. I go out like a light and the world does a runner. The darkness is so thick, solidifying around me. And then the world shamefacedly comes back to me. What's your name? A voice keeps asking, do you know your name? over and annoyingly over again. God damn death curses! How in heaven's name did you get out of that? My voice forms a cloud in the cold night air, like a cartoon speech bubble. This breath is the sweetest I have ever breathed. The joke's on death. Death ain't happy. What's the matter, Death? I quip all cocky light. You ain't got no sense of humour. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donall.